Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Sheviit, Perek Gimal, Mishnah Dalet. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to speak about a cattle pen. So what would they do is they would have a field, and in the field, a lot of times they would let their animals, graze the fields, and they would, sometimes even put them in this little area, lock them up in a pen, and the animals could walk around in this pen, and their excretion with all the dung that they let out helps fertilize the field. So a lot of times they would go ahead and they'll create a pen, move it over, and that way they could really fertilize their fields without having to work so hard. Now, are you allowed to do this on the Shemitah year? So it's an interesting way to look at this Mishnah. Harambam. Well, let's read the Mishnah first, and I'll explain. If a person, medayer is for the language of deer, right? You're allowed to make a deer. A deer is a pen, right? So a person creates this pen in order to be mizabel sadeh, in order to fertilize the field, right? According to Harambam, you're allowed to do so with the kavanah to fertilize the field, right? Most other Rishonim explain no. You're allowed to do so if you have kavanah in order to shear the animal. You want to, milk the animal, so you're putting them in this area. And if they fertilize, they fertilize. But Harambam over here says you're allowed. Right, it's very clear. He makes a pen in order to fertilize a portion of his field, fertilize his field. So he's allowed to. So a person does this. He creates this pen in his field. He can make this area. The sahar is this is really this fenced off area where the cattle or the better yet the tzon, right? That's how he explains it more. The sheep, right, could go ahead and gather. And if he wants to do this on the 7th year, how does he do so? Right, so he makes this one pen, and he's allowed to oker shalosh ruhot umaniach haytaim sa'it. Nimtza medayer bet arba'at se'in. So we have this way where he's allowed to even do a little more than normal, right? He has the actual, this is actual, cattle, in a pen, right? Harambam mentioned though it's son, right? So it's more sheep in a pen. What is he allowed to do? If he has one, he has the fencing going around, and he has the animals, in this one area fertilizing the field, right? Leaving their dung on the floor. And then he leaves that middle fence. He picks up the other 3 fences, right? On the north, the east, and the south, and he flips it to the other side. So he left one permanent wall, and he just flipped the other 3 walls to the other side. And now, instead of just being fertilizing one area, right, one betzeah, he fertilizes betzeatayim. He fertilizes 2. Right, that's what Tanakama says. Now, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel omer bet shemonat sein. Now you can fertilize 8 seah. Okay, now how does this work? So the way Harambam explains this, interestingly enough, and not, other Rishonim explain this, differently. But if he started with the middle one, right, of the sa'atayim, of the 2 se'ah, so he's allowed to use any one of those 4, right, as as the permanent fence. So if he has the middle one that he started with, so he takes the the 3 on the on the west, the south, and the east, and he flips it to the top. And then so he used the northern one from the middle from the middle pen as the main as the permanent fence. And then he takes those 3 fences and he puts it on the eastern side, right? And he uses that eastern one as the main as the permanent fence. And then he takes the 3 and he moves it to the south, and then again he moves it to the west. So he kept on moving over and over and over, and he's mizabel. He ends up fertilizing 8 se'ah, right? Because 2, 2, 2, and 2, in addition to the original 2, right? That's what Harambam has to say, right? When Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says 8 se'ah, it's bet shemonat sein, right? The 8 se'ah is talking about in additional to the first 2 se'ah that we mentioned. So that's the way Harambam explains it. Hayta kol sadeu bet arba'at sein. Right, now this is going back to the words of Tanakama, because Tanakama says you're allowed to, do the, 1 and then the 1, whatever, 2 seah and the betzah time next to it. So 2 and 2 is 4. So now Tanna Kama says, if his whole field was a total of 4 seah, then he needs to leave a little left over because Marita Ain. We don't want people to look and see and think that you're actually going ahead and fertilizing your entire field. And you're also allowed to take from the sahar, from the area, and put it into the field, right? The way you would, when you're mezabel, when you allow you to be mezabel, when you allow you to take out these dung heaps, you're allowed to take it out from the pen and put it in your field as long as you do it in the dung heaps that we allowed in last Mishnah 3 per bet se'ah, as we discussed.